Welcome to Master the Game. I'm Juice, and this is our Pathfinder 2e Fall of Plaguestone Gamemaster Diaries. That's right, I'm running Pathfinder 2nd Edition Fall of Plaguestone, and in this series, I'm giving you a little bit of insight into things that I learned, things maybe I messed up that I'm trying to figure out, and getting an overall idea of my experiences with the system as we play it. So let's get started. I do want to say thank you to my patrons, my players in all of my games. We run a lot of games on this channel for a variety of systems. So if that's something you're interested in, smash that subscribe button. We run upwards of 4 and 5 games a week sometimes. Again, this channel is just jam-packed with so much good gaming content. We also do these little videos, whether it's a tips video and things like that. So the first thing that came up was the multi-attack penalty. We messed it up at first in our previous episode. We are on episode 3 of Fall of Plaguestone, and we have some players who have been doing more than one attack in a round. This time we had them with the agile weapon trait, and originally one of our players said it's a -3 and a -6. However, that was wrong. I thought I was right when I said -4, -8, but I went with the -3, -6 because this person had played the game more. Ultimately, it was -4, -8 due to the agile trait. Again, it wasn't anything game-breaking. It ended up being fine, and that's okay with me as long as we're all having fun, and so far we're having a blast. The one thing I will say is, even with a lot of the mistakes I made in this previous session, we all really enjoyed playing. We all enjoyed combat. We all enjoyed the role play. It was all a lot of fun. And again, you know, in the past, I've gotten really hung up on mechanics, and if I screwed it up, I felt like it ruined a game. But I didn't feel that way in this session, and that's a good thing. So the next thing that kind of came up, because the player was using an agile weapon, had high dex, the damage, and she was calculating dex on her damage, I believe, but we pointed out in Pathfinder, damage bonuses come from a specific ability, or it comes from your strength modifier. So if you hit something with a weapon, the only damage bonus on that would be from strength, not dex. This is different from other popular fantasy games. The other thing that was really cool in the session that I don't know if I used it or if I used it correctly or whatever, but we had swarms of bees. I will say, one, it was really lethal for our party. We had a player that was dropped. He probably would have died if it wasn't for his fire resistance of 1, because he set himself on fire with a critical fail. It was really working out well. Now, for the swarm of bees, I just said anybody in a 30-foot area, basically. I didn't tell them that it was 30 feet, but I just said anybody other than the one who ran out of it was suffering from bee stings, and they had to make saves. If not, if they failed, they were stung and had a chance to have to be poisoned. And it was great. It was absolutely great. Now, our Goblin Alchemist, like I said, he did a fire bomb, and he rolled a crit fail. He actually rolled a 1 on the die. So not only did he take the fire damage, but he also had the persistent 1, but he also had resistance 1. And it did do splash damage to the bees, which was 1 point of splash damage, but because it's an area of effect, it did 5 extra damage due to that. And that was pretty brutal to the bees. It was really cool, though. Again, I really like that. Then before I get to the next part, the thing that I think is kind of cool is other games will say, oh, you're resistant, literally it's just half damage, or oh, you got a weakness to it, okay, it just doubles the damage. There's something kind of nice about being told how much resistance you have, or how much of a weakness. So for example, in that instance, yeah, the bees took 1 splash damage from an area of effect, but they took 5 additional damage just because it was an area of effect. I love that. You know, if it was the opposite, say it's like resistance 3 and something does 7, you take 7 minus 3. Like that would have been, that's cool. I really like how they've implemented this in Pathfinder. It's a little different than what I've been used to the last 5 years because I've been running 5e for so long. And it just, I feel like it just spices things up a little from what I'm used to. We had an encounter with a grizzly bear, and with the encounter, I was making a mistake. I, being the dum-dum that I am, was using the cave bear stats down here. Now, grizzly bear's above that, up here. Now, you can see there's not really, when you're reading it, there's not a good divider between the stuff. I mean, I should have known, but I made the mistake and was using this. Now, down here, it's a much bigger problem because it's a plus 16 to hit, whereas the one above is only a plus 11. But yeah, it was rough. I crit one of the characters twice. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I do wish these were divided up a little better. And I even looked back at the first edition monster manuals, and they had, at least things were in different columns. The way the books were organized was in columns. If you notice, this is a single column for a whole page, and then it's got a sidebar. So again, it's a big difference in how they do it now. Ultimately, again, I should have caught it. I probably should have wrote the stats on a piece of paper rather than having to resort to the book. All this tells me is I actually need to go and buy the first edition monster cards. We have up here the second edition monster cards, and I can already tell that would have prevented this. So next time I will hopefully have those first edition monster cards. But yeah, ultimately it wasn't that big a deal. Like I said, I caught myself quick enough that I was able to retcon it and fix it. But in the process of retconning it, I forgot my third attack in the first round with the grizzly bear, and I probably could have killed a character if I did not forget that. I'm kind of kicking myself for that. Not because I want to kill the characters, but there's something about setting a tone in a game that combat can be deadly, and I kind of wish that I didn't mess that up. Another thing I noticed that it hasn't come up a ton in our games, but there are a lot of roles that are just perception rolls. If you're seeking something, if you're trying to figure out if somebody's bluffing or lying to you, initiative rolls right off the bat are going to be, your perception usually, unless you were doing something else. It's not, again, a problem, but this is a skill that I see used a ton in my games. And so I'm already feeling like that is a skill that most characters you're going to want to have. I could see why somebody would go, well, perception is used more than other skills, so let's take that. Again, doesn't really matter, but at the same time, it is rolled a lot. The other thing that I noticed in looking up some of the rules and stuff is a recall knowledge is a generic term for rolling a appropriate skill. Recalling knowledge about a creature will require that kind of lore usually. If you're trying to recall knowledge about a tightrope act in a circus, it's going to be acrobatics probably. Or maybe it's like circus lore or something. You're going to have recall knowledge skills that are like religion, things like that. So again, recall knowledge is a blanket statement for any skills that the players think might be relevant to the role. Now, I think it's up to them or the game master to make that connection without stretching too much for that. I like it. At the same time, it's a little bit too up in the air, but I do like it. It's something I'm going to have to get used to. I'm still trying to remember what the skills are when I'm running a game. I'm so used to playing 5e. I'm so used to playing Pulp Cthulhu now. These games have different lists of skills, and so trying to remember from one system to the other is a little bit difficult at times. Now, I don't think this is a common problem for people out there who are running just one system. Like if I was only running Pathfinder, it wouldn't be a problem. I'd probably figure it out within a session or two. Here I am, third session in, going into the fourth, still getting a grasp on some of these things. But at the end of the day, it's not a deal breaker. I still really enjoy it. In our session that we streamed, which you can watch it by clicking on the link up here, we had a conversation at the end about what everybody thought of Pathfinder 2e. Everybody except for one of our players was new to the system. Like my wife and I had played one session before this campaign of it. One player has been playing it for about a year with his group. I think he runs the game. And then Dave and Bill had never played Pathfinder 2e. So trying to just really gauge where everyone's at with the system, and everybody said they're having a great time. The rules aren't a problem for them. Everybody is just really enjoying it. And that's awesome to hear. Again, I don't think that means I'm running a great game or anything, but I do think it means that the game is it's flowing nicely. We've had memorable moments already. Colin's character is extremely memorable for me. The goblins, which I always want to call them dwarves, but the goblins are hilarious. Even Paula's swashbuckler is awesome. Durgan's character, being a half-orc paladin, has been great. Like, everybody's characters have been great in the game. And I'm playing with some great players. They're a lot of fun, They add to the game, add to the story. They're engaged with what's going on. And, we're all just going along and learning the system as we play. And, I'm really appreciative, I don't know if it would be any different if I was playing it with, say, a bunch of experts. Would they be correcting me a lot? Which, again, I actually don't mind that. But would it be just this constant, like, oh, you should do it this way? Like, I don't know. But it's been awesome. And like I said, after Friday night, again, I am even more excited than I was previously to learn the system even more. This past week, we had a little bit of a black eye on the Pathfinder 2e community with a very popular video that was done. My experiences that I've had and I had on Friday are just continuing to make me realize that Pathfinder 2e is a good system. And if I enjoy it, it doesn't matter what somebody else says. And hopefully, the more I learn it, the more I can be a resource and helpful for some of you out there who may not have played it yet or may not have run it. So my goal, hopefully over the next couple months, is to understand the system enough that I can really, really get across to you guys the good things about it. Are there bad things with the system? Yes. Are there great things about the system? Yes. 100%. Do the bad outweigh the pros? I definitely don't think so. Is it a crunchy system? The answer is yes, it's crunchy. Do I think you're forced to optimize? Hell no. I will say that right now. You are not forced to optimize. You can make the decisions you want. And I feel Pathfinder 2e actually has space within the system where it actually encourages you to be far more creative than other systems do, in my opinion. I think the 3-action economy, so far from what I've seen, opens things up for possibilities that I can say I've never seen in other games, and I don't know if they would play out the same way in other games, such as at the bear scene, we had two crit fails there by the same goblin from the B scene, and that led to something kind of funny that I don't think you ever would have saw in a 5e game or old school D&D. And it was enjoyable, I think, for everybody. I think we all got a kick out of it. Again, I really think that 3-action economy, it really changes the game a lot, and all for the better, in my opinion. Do I think people use the same reoccurring abilities over and over again? Probably. I am starting to see it with my swashbuckler character a little. It does not bother me, though. So far, she has reskinned how it works or how it looks a couple times, I think. And that's okay. That's all cool with me. So, do I think it'll get repetitive as we play later on into this game and other games? Possibly. But again, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So, if you role play it out and mix it up the descriptions and do some other stuff a little different, I don't think it's a problem. So, with that, that is my thoughts on our third session of Pathfinder Fall of Plaguestone. Again, I am loving it. We're going to have some amazing Pathfinder content on this channel over the next couple weeks, over the holidays. We're going to continue doing our Versatile Heritages. We're going to continue doing our Ancestry videos. I plan on having a review of the monster cards. I have a review coming of the beginner box. We've got a ton of content. So again, if you want to see this, subscribe, give us a like. And, we do tons of live streams, all that stuff. Would love to see you join us in on those. This was Master the Game. I am Juice. Game on.